Welcome to another episode of the T-Side Podcast with me, Tanya D. As always, I need to start by saying thank you to everyone who has been listening and providing feedback. I'm not going to take too long today. I'm going to jump right in. We do have a guest with us, and this is Miss Tanya White. She is a school counselor in the Jefferson County Public School in Louisville, Kentucky. Miss Tanya, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hello. I love your name, though, Tanya D.
Thank you.
Well, I have been with the public school system. I'm coming up on my 20th year.
Wow.
Started out as a special education teacher. And then after like 13 years, I landed my school counseling job. In my role right now, especially during COVID, most of my time is spent trying to eliminate these barriers to virtual school education, a lot with the parents, because the parents are having, just a tough time just managing life, managing their kids every day, and then managing the demands of school. But if we were in brick and mortar, I serve as a listening ear and a resource for students to perform their academic best and emotional best in school. Also serve parents to provide resources that they need to help their students at home, and serve as a resource for the staff to make their jobs easier. So our main goal is for our kids to learn and be prepared for the future. So there's a little bit about my role.
Okay. So where you are you all doing virtual or hybrid, or what does the school look like?
We have been 100% virtual since school started, primarily because our governor and our superintendent, in our district, we have over 100,000 kids.
Oh, wow.
And most of them take the school bus transportation, again, like most schools, overcrowding. And so it was just best to do full virtual until the goal was until the numbers start to decrease. We were only planning to be on there 6 weeks because they anticipated if everybody followed the guidelines, we would see a decrease and we'll be able to move to the next phase of a hybrid. That was the goal for October. But our numbers, like most across the nation, have continued to escalate. So literally, we are on full-time virtual probably until, until January. Our governor just did another not a shutdown, but some guidelines to decrease. So everybody's on full-time virtual until January. They're going to relook in December to see what it is. But I anticipate this full-time virtual until we get these numbers down.
Right. That would be best.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if the schools are overcrowded and things like that. So what have you noticed to be the biggest challenge for you with getting them set up or with resources for the students?
Well, as a school, when we first went virtual back in March, when the pandemic first started, it was technology throughout our whole district. Like I said, we have over 100,000 students. And we're in an urban district where a lot of our students come from low socioeconomic. So at that phase, it was a lot of technology barriers. Over the summer, when it was anticipated that we would start school virtual for a few weeks, we had a lot of community partners help us increase our technology with Chromebooks and hotspots. So now we can say that there is at least about 80% of our students who had the need for technology do have it. It's those families, have multiple siblings in school. So if they have multiple siblings, that we try to accommodate each sibling if possible. If not, they have at least two. And so this go around, the technology seems to be less of a barrier, but how to navigate through the assignments and the live instructions, that is what I see at this go around. So we just had, our school had parent training programs on how to navigate Google Classroom, how to get on live sessions, and how to host their child's work. And so that was the need that our school particularly saw and met. I must say, in interacting with the kids, I know the kids are overwhelmed because they do want to see their friends in person, but they are technology babies. So
right. They were born with a computer chip.
They were born with it. And so what I do have virtual small groups and lunch bunch just so I can stay in contact with the kids. And sometimes I have trouble sharing and with the technology, and I don't care what grade. It could be a kindergartner, a fifth grade, and they help Miss White out with the technology. So that is a plus as I'm noticing that we're all in the technology world during COVID. The babies know how to access and maneuver and flow through technology.
Yeah, that's true, because the thing with the teachers, if you've been a teacher for a while, you're probably older, you're not as familiar with all this technology. So the teachers are learning as on the go. And if you're a new teacher, you might have the tech part down, but you don't have the classroom management.
Right.
But you're not in a classroom. So they're learning also. So it's a learning curve for everybody.
Out of all of the positive that I find through this pandemic, it has brought our society closer together because we realize how much we do need each other.
Yes.
And so true. Even when our staff, leadership, students, you seeing students help students who they may have a problem with, that they're connecting with, and not only in live instruction, but outside, because everybody's in the house and nobody can see. So I do see that connectivity more, and the barriers and all the other things that society does have decreased, and we're willing to lean more on each other because we got to.
That's wonderful. That's really great. I hadn't really thought about it that way. And yes, especially with the kids helping the teachers with the technology, that's really great. But
I swear, every virtual lunch bunch, I have problems sharing my screen on Google Meet. And it never fails. Once a Miss White, you got to do this and that. And once I do it, boom. But thank you, because I know Miss White, honey. It just seems so difficult. But they do. This generation knows that technology.
Yeah. So have you noticed any issues with them doing the work or getting the work done?
And that is the ironic thing about it. Even the students who had academic problems and meeting deadlines, so to say, returning the work, because literally you're in the house and there's nothing to do outside of your house. A lot of students are completing the work and attempting to do what they can. And like I have my own school counselor's Google Classroom, and I have little activities, videos, and my counseling core instruction. And then I have a little reflection activity that I assign to the students. So many students do that activity. So I'm thinking, oh Lord, but they do it because, I'm assuming this is what they need to do to occupy their time. So I have a great amount of participation on my end.
Let me ask you, do you get assigned students to work with, or is it different this year? You just have it set up and anyone can come in?
Anyone, I send all the invitation to all the students in our population. And so our enrollment right now is like 398. So, in my Google Classroom, of those 398, 272 kids have accepted the invitation and they active on my Google Classroom. Which I thought was phenomenal to have not only just their class, but be connected to the school counselors' Google Classroom. And I give, like I said, videos, little activities that are theme-based for whatever month that's working on. Like October was National Bullying Month. This November, so much. It was the election, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving. So just different activities and videos. And then in my virtual sessions, we discuss certain things. So I'm very pleased with the interaction. But again, when I think about it, that's how we're connecting right now, through virtual.
Right.
Virtual. And so the human craving to connect with people, because we can't be in the building. People are connecting virtually in all kinds of ways, because it baffles me. Well, it's funny because some of the students send messages like early in the morning, Miss White, is lunch bunch today? I'm like, yeah. But because they want that in their schedule, they have something else to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's very important I know sometimes we can get virtual zoomed out, Google Meet out, but that's how we're connecting. Especially with those who need that connection. Yeah. So just got to this is our normal right now. So do what we can to meet that human need.
You may have said it, and if you did and I missed it, I apologize. Are you in elementary school?
Yes,
middle school?
Elementary pre-K through 5th grade.
Okay. So you find that there's a lot of participation among that age group.
Yes, and especially, with the pre-K kindergartens, when they on a virtual session, usually the parents are right there. And because everybody's in the house, the parents are engaging too. So it's really amazing to see how our attention is now to being more tolerant of people and connecting with people because we have to. But the parents are there. Like last week, I had a game for one of my sessions, Jeopardy, and the parents were just involved as the kids.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay.
Okay. Look, I guess a lot of them, if they aren't working, they don't have anything to do either.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, because I have noticed this with parents, they aren't always virtual classroom appropriate.
Yes.
So has that been an issue? I know some people, the parents are participating. Do you find, well, you do counseling and not regular classroom education, but, have you heard where the parents are trying to give the kids the answers or stressing the kids because they don't know the answer? Like, we went over this. Why don't you know it? And,
Absolutely.
Stressing the child out.
Absolutely. I do visit many of our classrooms during their live instruction.
Okay.
And we have to constantly address that. We love that you're right there and you're engaged.
Yeah.
But when it comes to answering questions, we had an inappropriate incident with, the teachers trying to give all the kids opportunities to answer. Right. And so one of our parents got upset and said, you better call them such and such. She's been having her hand up.
Oh, Lord.
And we had to address that, we know that you may feel this way, but remember, they're still in live instruction for their class. And so we have to give the parents some classroom expectations. And
so what type of expectations would you give for parents?
You could be engaged, be present, but be appropriate in not only just your verbal encounters, but also your body language and your appearance. Yes.
Don't cuss your other child out over here or not walk around with your bra on when you walk by the camera.
Were you in that classroom when that happened?
I'm sure that's happened on multiple occasions.
Woo, yes.
Parents like, oh, well, whatever. I did have a friend recommend possibly having it's not always possible, have the child with their back to a wall. So if
we have encouraged, we've encouraged our kids to utilize the virtual background features.
Okay.
So to make it fun and then block out all that. And Google Meet has caught on because before when we started, they didn't have many virtual backgrounds like Zoom.
Okay.
Meet. And so a lot of our teachers use Google Meet. And so now they have a whole selection of virtual backgrounds. So our teachers have encouraged our students to use a virtual background because they're fun. It blocks out everything. And then we won't have to see certain things. Our smoking cigarettes in the
right.
in class. I'm like, oh Lord. But yeah, there's some we constantly have to address that.
Okay, but you said you had some different types of classes for the parents.
We did.
Okay, and so you had a really good response to those.
Yes, and then good. At our school, we keep in contact. We have our instructional assistants call the families at least twice a week to just check in to see, because our teachers are busy preparing lessons and everything. So we utilize our instructional assistants to make sure that the parents don't have any specific needs from the teacher or the school. And so we've done a great job, I must say, of really staying connected to all of our families during this time.
Oh, good.
And being able to know what's going on. In that, being able to connect with them, you find out a lot of our families are struggling and hurting. Not just with COVID, parents with COVID or somebody else in the family, but with regular life illnesses, which at this time is very scary because when you go to the hospital, your family can't come see you. So so we've had some families with people had surgeries dealing with cancer, death. And so, we're in a very high crime. Our school is located in a high crime area as well. And so the summer was on and popping it was like every week there was a shooting and someone one of our families was directly impacted by whether it was somebody in their family was shot or it was a neighbor that got shot. So we had to deal with just regular life issues as well on top of COVID, which can stress any family out.
Right. And so do you just then refer them out, or you said you do some individual sessions with the students?
Yes. So we have a lot of community partners. So we determine the level of needs that our families need. So sometimes it's just a few sessions with me. We also have a mental health counselor in our school. Sometimes they need more intense sessions. When we discovered that the scope is outside of our school counseling service, we do have our district has partnerships with the local counseling agencies, such as 7 counties and other therapists. And, during this time, so many community-based agencies have laxed a lot of their requirements. So if you need counseling, you literally, all you got to do is call this number and you'll get it.
Okay. What would you say to students who find that they are having more difficulty managing? Because like you said, you have kindergarten through 5th grade. So technically the 4th grader could be the one trying to help take care of the 5-year-old. So
absolutely,
they have a lot more going on and a lot more stress also. So what would you say to students who find that they are having a hard time? Because sometimes it's just harder to learn virtually. Sometimes you need that face-to-face one-on-one instruction.
Yes. And we've done a lot of great things within our school and in our district. So like I said, a lot of our families have multiple students in the household. And a lot of our parents are either essential workers or have to go to jobs outside the home. And so you're right. The oldest child is not only doing their work, but they're helping their younger sibling get on as well. Within our school, when we notice that, we have our theme right now is extend grace. So with our younger kids in particular, we don't have them on live instruction as much because they're babies. And so there's a specific time that live instruction, and then our teachers have done a schedule where they can meet with them in a smaller group setting or one-on-one, especially if they're struggling. With our older kids, our 4th and 5th graders, they have multiple times during the day that they're on live instruction, but they also have a couple of days that they're not, and that's their time to do their work. All of our teachers have office hours, so a kid can just pop in when it's not live instruction and say, hey, I need help on this. Our district has done an amazing job with the resources and the help and assistance because, like you said, kids struggle. So they've done a great job with virtual tutoring opportunities, even with our virtual extracurricular activities. Like we have a chess club, and some of the schools have band, they still practice virtually. Like I said, the technology is so still giving them that sense of being in some type of normal school situation, but we're just doing virtual. So like I said, our district and the school I'm particularly in have done a great job, as well as other schools around our district, meeting the needs of not only our families, but themselves. Because, when you're working in school and you got a family, of course, you're not only doing your job, but you have to meet the educational needs of the families in your household, the kids in your household. So we've done a lot just to assist, to be patient and extend grace and understanding that, yes, we're trying to offer a sense of normalcy, but I have to remember we're still in a pandemic.
Right.
People are still struggling financially. So yes, we got Chromebooks, but some people may be struggling. They may not have Wi-Fi because they weren't able to pay the bill. So yes, they need a hotspot. They need us to get a hotspot. So families can request that as needed. It may happen. Maybe their Chromebook is broken. They can request to get another one. And so we have those resources available for them. You don't have the technology. Most schools have paper packets and paper instruction until you get back on. So just other alternatives to meet your need at the time.
So how do they get the paper package? Somebody will be able to take it to them, or they can come to the school and pick it up?
Well, at our school, and like I say, each school is different. My school, we mail them to them because not many is on paper packet. My niece's school, my niece and nephew, they go to a school, but every week they have a specific day that you can drop it off. And pick up a packet. And at their school, almost all of their students are on technology, but for the developmental ages, such as pre-K through second, he just said the babies still need to practice their motor skills in writing. So they have the technology part, but they also have the paper packet, so the kids can get to write. And yeah, because you're just learning those skills at that age. So they don't want them. So that is something I was like, oh, that is so good. But every week they have a social distance, follow guidelines where you can drop off the packet you picked up the week before, and they have a packet for them to pick up that week. So it's just it's systems to meet the needs of your community at the time.
Okay, so let me now flip it and ask, what tips would you give the educators and the school staff and professionals trying to manage? Because sometimes if you're a teacher, you're virtually doing your job. But again, you also have a second grader that's sitting over here trying to do their work too. And you're stressed. And little Johnny over here, he playing Nintendo or whatever game, PS5, he's not paying attention, and you're all stressed out. And you're like, you know what? I don't have time for this today. So what would you say to the educators?
Well, I do this every week at our administrative meeting. I have to remind them. I know we have goals. I know we want the sense of normalcy in school. But sometimes our demands, we have to sit back and reflect. Because I have to remind them, we're still in the pandemic, you guys. And just because people don't share their hurt and what they're going through and their stress, these are stressful times.
Very.
And so have your expectations, yes, but also have empathy and grace to know that, yes, you have expectation. Everybody wants to meet bosses, jobs, all the expectations. I don't believe anybody deliberately says, I don't want to meet, even the most irresponsible. They want to meet some level. And you have to understand that. But you also have to understand we're in a pandemic. I've personally been affected. 2 weeks ago, my nephew's father died from COVID. 49 years old. 49.
Oh,
he would have been 50.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, he would have been 50 this upcoming Monday. Got it? Don't know how, because he wore his mask. But like I said, you can take that mask off or be in contact with somebody. Once you get it, it impacts people in different ways. So we have to understand that as educators, that yes, our families want their children on. But when they don't, if they're struggling or you haven't seen them, it is, you got to understand that they may be going through something. And they may not be willing to share at that time. They just, they'll tell you, they're going to get on. So that's when they reach out to me as a counselor and our MHP, because maybe we can ask them what their needs are. And usually, they tell us such and such, this is happening. But we have to understand, it's not that they don't want to do their work. It's not that they haven't turned in their work. We're in the midst of a pandemic. And we have to understand that pandemic and life as we knew it before is really over. Yes, we're trying to navigate through this, but also have your expectations, then your empathy, and then show grace. That's what I say.
A thought that I had when you talked about not necessarily lowering your expectations. What are your thoughts on the requirements for the students, like the state and federal requirement for the expectations of the state or doing assessments or benchmarks they have to meet?
It's like you've been in our admin meeting. I tell them all the time, because principals can get in the angst, APs can get in the angst. And I tell them they have to have those expectations. You can't come out and say, oh, no, we're not doing this because we know the pandemic's going to last. They have to run as normal. And yes, they set their expectations, but they're going to have empathy because every state in this United States has increased their thing. They know that the kids are not going to learn at the level and expectations as they would have in-person school, no matter how much systems and opportunities for virtual learning you put in place. So I tell them all the time, yes, they have to have their expectations. Trust me, at the appropriate time, when there's nothing left to do, they're going to say, this is what we planned this, but because of the pandemic, this is what is going to have to happen. And this is what we expect y'all to do. They can't reveal all their cards at one time. But yes, they going to have benchmarks. Of course. Yeah, they got to. They can't say we told the whole educational industry ignore
That's true.
kids and having goals to meet. They can't say that. So they have to plan accordingly. But expectations, empathy, they're gonna reveal it when they can. But yeah, like last year we didn't have our state test. We're not gonna have our state test this year, and probably not next year, because you can't validly test, especially when you've been out of school virtual for.
It's a ripple effect.
It is a ripple effect. So we gotta put things in perspective, you guys, too, and don't get stressed over. Oh, they expect me to do this. We're in a pandemic. Everybody's anxious.
Just do the best you can.
Real.
Do what you can. Yeah.
What are the numbers now? They're 11 million. They're probably 12 million now. 12 million cases, 260 something deaths. It's for real, for real. Yeah. So we gotta understand. That's what I would say. Put things into perspective and don't get anxious about the expectations that people give you.
Okay, makes sense. I didn't ask at the beginning, but I definitely want to know, what are you doing to take care of yourself?
I am enjoying life, living my life. Living my life and understanding that I'm not going to let anybody stress me out. I'm not. I'm just not. I will turn 50 at the end of this year. And so there's a different mindset.
A golden birthday.
A golden. You heard me? Golden. Mm-hmm. And just having my ex-brother-in-law pass at 49, that puts a whole, from the COVID, that puts a whole lot. It's like, I'm like, you know what? I need everybody to follow these guidelines. I need y'all to be safe. I need y'all to stop all these gatherings. Yeah. So we can get this stuff under control, because it's real. And I think that's what happened. A lot of people didn't think, oh, it's just something they talk about on thing, but it hits a little different when it comes to your family and somebody died. And now I know friends and other family members who got it, and not necessarily because they were irresponsible. It was somebody in their household that brought it to them. And so we've got to be cognizant of the fact this is a real pandemic. Like I have an aunt who is a nurse. She's been on the front line since this thing and taking precautions. Well, husband was somewhere, wasn't irresponsible. It just boom, got it. This disease is real. So we got to remember to limit our interaction until we get a vaccine. Follow the guidelines. I know we want to be around the ones we love. And I especially know, especially if you live alone, it can be very taxing, but it's real. It impacts people in different ways. Like you can think that, oh, I knew somebody got over it, so if you got it, I'm going to get over it. Old and young. We just had a 15-year-old in the state of Kentucky die of it.
Oh, wow.
And even though she had underlying other health issues, 15 years old, because she contracted this disease, the hit's a little different. So I just read an article that 1 million children have gotten COVID.
Oh my.
And when we thought about this, when it first started hitting, they said, oh, such and such kids this age are immune. No, it's not. So stop, parents. This is what I say. This is the counselor in me. Yes, keep your kids at home. Stop letting them go, even to family and friends' house. You stop that. Put on their mask. And I had I have a friend who's a nurse practitioner. She's on the front line. She's like, honey, I make my kids wear 2 masks. So she doubles it up. She's like, because she sees it. She sees it every day, and the impact and the immediate effects that once you get it and how it affects people differently. So it's for real. So I am taking care of myself. I'm limited and I'm living life, because I see it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. Yeah. But I'm still hopeful that if we all do our part and we do it consistently.
That's the thing. Just do it and be consistent for a little while.
Just a little while.
Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate your insight, your input. It was great talking with you, as always. I would love to know what your song of the day, or what is your mood right now?
My song that I'm vibing to, there's several. I'm gonna give you 3. I gotta give you 3.
Awesome.
Because I've always loved Usher. And so his song Bad Habits right now, I'm like, this pandemic has to be over, because I need to see him live.
Man, oh my God.
He's gonna wreck that album. And see, he hasn't even released the album, because when you release an album, you gotta go different places. But just that single, I was like, this is vintage Usher.
Yes.
Love it.
Exactly. It really
vintage
is.
Usher. Then another one is Snoh, Allegra. I like having you around.
Heard that.
Yep, I love her vibe right now. And then the Neo and Jeremih song, Only Want You to Love. That's my vibes right now.
I love it. And that's really what I miss the most, is going to concerts.
God, I almost passed out in about June, because that's what I do every time. It's concerts, every city. You know, I knew our boys were going to do something. If it was just BBD or somebody.
Yeah.
I said, I can't take it. So if nothing else, you guys, let's follow these pandemic things. So summer 2021, we can be back to doing what we need to do.
Right. I need to see my people. I need to go to concerts. So before we get out of here, I do want to ask you, what are your socials? Where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm old school, so I'll stick to Facebook. And you can find me at Tanya White, and Tanya is Tanya. White is in the color. You can visit my website at TanyaWhite.com. And I have a couple of books out, so you can get them on Amazon. My latest book is Yes, I Am Enough, The Next Level. And it talks about how we have to know that we're good enough, intelligent enough, all of that enoughness, so that we can have be self-empowered to go after our dreams and our destiny. So Yes, I Am Enough, The Next Level on Amazon.com. So yes, visit me, connect with me. I'm working with a couple of authors that are set to release books in 2021. One author is releasing a credit champion book, and me following, just working with her, my credit score has just increased so much. And then another client's dealing with relationships. The choices that we made really are worth something. So we got to think more about our relationship choices and be more intentional. So those are coming out too next year.
Okay.
Yeah. Connect with me on social media so you can find out.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on your show, Tanya D.
Thank you. I love having guests on the show.
Yeah. So you keep it up. December babies rock all day, every day.
All day, every day. Okay.
Thank you so much. Keep it up. This is so needed, especially at this time. A lot of people look for inspiration and information. So keep doing what you do.
Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the T-Side Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at the T-Side Podcast, all one word. If you like what you heard, head on over to iTunes to rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes. And be sure to tell a friend about the show. Until next time.